Hi everyone, Melanie Minshinger here. Today I've got a video for you showing these new markers that I've gotten from Arteza. They're the 40 acrylic markers. These are great for coloring on rocks, for plastic, for glass, any of those non-porous surfaces. And I'm just so happy with this purchase. I picked these out because I wanted to create some painted rocks for my neighborhood. Been so happy with all of the things that I've purchased from Arteza and that they have sent me for review, that I bought these with my own money, and I'm just super happy with this purchase. So there's a set of 20. I got the set of 40, and I'm really glad that I did because it gives me so many different shades of each color. I can really create a lot of depth in my image. I'm going to show you a color chart in just a second, but they're very easy to hold. Each one has a name on them. And what I wasn't expecting when I put them in my cart is that they come with replaceable nibs for every single marker and a pair of tweezers. And so I just thought that was really convenient and really thoughtful of them to do. But it wasn't until after I had been using these for a while, I went ahead and shook up every marker when I first got them so that I would have the paint ready to go before I did any project. And by the way, you need to set aside, at least a minute or two per marker. So put on a movie if you want to do it that way. It's going to be like a real workout for your arms if you're shaking them up if you've used paint pens before. So you might want to just pick out the ones that you are doing for a particular project and do those at once. That's just my tip about that. But I didn't use any of these tips at the time because I thought these were all just for replacing them if they ended up getting worn or damaged by what you were drawing on. I realized later when I was about to shoot this video, they all have a bullet tip on them. And this is a chisel tip. So if you would rather have a chisel tip that will make a finer edge or a squarer stroke, then you can switch that out before you even shake it up. Now, if you turn this over, so this is the, let's see, what color is this one? Fluorescent peach. So if you pull this out, you can see there's a very tiny fine line pointed tip on there that you can use for writing. So you can switch these over anytime that you need to, or you can just have the round bullet tip on the outside. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so let me show you this color chart here real quick. There are 37 solid opaque colors and then 3 metallics. So you've got 37 brights, 3 metallics. I'm going to kind of move this around so that you can see there really is a lot of shimmer and sheen in the silver, the gold, and the bronze. I love having those metallics because you can add the little accents. I use the gold to sign my name on the back of one, used it on a peacock rock, so I'll show you those as well. The titanium white, because I have this on kind of a ivory watercolor paper, it's looking more gray, but you'll see in a moment when I show you the rocks that I did, it's a nice bright white. Notice all those fluorescent colors that they have. They truly are a really pretty day glow. So I'm looking forward to creating some kind of project with those. So let me go ahead and show you some of the rocks that I've done and kind of give you my tips for how I decided to do each rock. So the first one that I did, I kind of let the shape of the rock dictate what I want the piece to be. So I bought a bag of real smooth river stones at Hobby Lobby. You can get them at any craft store. They've got wood rings that I am planning on getting next for my next purchase from Arteza that would be great for Christmas ornaments. They've already got a hole drilled in them, nice smooth surface on that wood ring, and it's going to take that paint really well. So I'm excited to create those for gifts and also to decorate our tree. But I started with these rocks and they're very smooth. I got a bag of about 6 or 7 of them. Show you what they all looked like on the back before I did my drawing. So there were some smaller ones and then some larger ones. So you could get that many rocks for probably $3 or $4 with the coupon, maybe $5 or $6 at the most for a larger bag. So it has a very smooth surface on it for that paint. So here's a bee I did, a snail, this peacock. This was the first one that I did, and you can see that gold metallic paint on there on those feathers. Isn't that pretty? And then I've got a couple different blues that I'm using on that peacock body. I've got the fluorescent blue, the Egyptian blue, and then some of the peacock blue. The phthalo blue is that kind of greenish color that you see on there, some of the teal, and then that fluorescent green really brought out that pretty kind of springy green color. And then you want to use those white and those space black markers on all of your rocks to really define the lines and then to create little highlights. So that really kind of creates a shimmer there as well with that white, really gives it some pop. And then I just signed the back of my rock and put the date on it, 2020. And then the snail here, as you can see, this is a lot more whimsical, but to me, I just saw the shape and it really looked like the body of the snail and then the shell. This bee that I did just to me looked like the body and then the wings. And you can really create kind of a transparent look by doing those highlights with the white, and then see how you really add that dimension and that smoothness and that shine with just some little touches of that white marker. Let's see, it's a little sleeping kitty that I did with the gray and the white and the black. Can't wait to put all these out. It's a little bird, little baby bird. This is kind of a silly one. I had some Google eyes from another craft pack, and so I thought that would be kind of fun to put on there. So it's a little more cartoon looking, that dog. Here's a panda that I did with the black and the white. This one had a lot of texture on it, so I made a little sleeping koala. Love this one. I'm going to send this, I think, to my friend Cindy Horvath, who is just really into reptiles, iguanas, chameleons. So this is kind of a fun one, and it looks like the shape of one just sitting on that branch. I always put a little shadow underneath it, like you can see here on this turtle, and that is just going to really make your design look dimensional. Here's a little hedgehog that I did on this one, and then this rose. And you can also use some of those blues or the grays or browns or purple for doing those shadows. Love how this one turned out. Here's a little fox. And I like to just go to Google, you know, for the different ideas that I have, just to get ideas for different poses and different colors to use. Here's kind of a fun, easy one, you know, if you think that these are maybe beyond your artistic abilities, but I know you can do it. This is kind of a fun one that I did, just creating a little ladybug on the top of a rock, so it still looks like a rock, and then just those blades of grass and then a little bit of dirt. Whenever I do grass, I always like to use multiple shades of green, and that's going to add shadows and highlights and just look like real grass. I want to, let's see, I have a couple more over here that I wanted to show you just to give you an idea. Oh, and here's a little bird nest that I did. So I put these together, but little robin eggs in there. So that was a fun one to do. Now, after I ran out of the rocks that I bought, I wanted to keep painting, and so I have some that I collected from a river. And when they're in the river and they're wet, they feel so much smoother than they turn out to be once they're dry. You can still draw on them, but it's just not quite as smooth a surface as those ones you'll buy at the craft store. So here's one that I did. I just wanted to do some little positive affirmations or maybe Bible verses. So I've got that heart and that little be happy on there. And here's one that I did, this You Are Loved rock. So I want to draw something on the back of one of these just so that you can see and give you an example of activating that marker. So grab one. I got to think of what I want to do here, what I want to make. I think I'm going to make a butterfly on the back of this rock. I just gave away a butterfly one. You might have seen it. You might have seen me post it on Facebook. I gave it away to a friend. So I'm going to take a pink here. I'm going to get out my black and the white, maybe the gray. I didn't really have a plan for what I wanted to make, so I'm just going to kind of start drawing. But so when you get the marker, the tip is going to look just yellow and dry like this. So you're just going to start by shaking it up, and you're going to hear that ball bearing moving around in the paint. And if you haven't shaken it up yet, it's going to take at least a minute. You'll keep checking it, and you'll slowly start to see the paint come down the marker. And then you're going to pump it on your scratch paper. So it's just nice and solid. You see that you can make dot, perfect dot, a thick line, or a very thin line if you're applying very little pressure. So I'm just going to start just doing just kind of a basic shape of a wing here. And you can see how that is nice and solid and opaque. So you can layer these colors or not, but it's just going to be nice and bright. And this is going to give you an idea of what this is going to look like if you were to put it onto a plastic or glass. Now the more slick the surface is, the more it kind of wants to resist it. So it will still look opaque, but it is not going to necessarily look as solid as it is on this rock. You might have a few little streaks. So that's just something to keep in mind. And it's a different surface, but it will definitely draw on that surface. And I also want to show you, I think I gave it away, but I drew on a little terracotta pot for a friend. Here it is, here it is. Okay, so here's a little terracotta pot that I made, and I just masked that off with some of the Gina K purple tape, and then just went around the rim with the gold. So you could even do some stenciling or things on pots, and then I removed that, and I just think that's a really fun, fancy accent for that terracotta. So again, a very different surface. So now I'm going to cap. Now I want to use the black, and if I haven't, okay, yeah, that's still really juicy, even though I haven't used these in a couple weeks. So I'm just going to make a body here, just with those different segments, and then my little antenna, and then I'm going to do just an outline. And I want to grab some of those other colors just so that you can see how you can layer them. You can kind of draw those different segments that you would see on a butterfly. You can make these more whimsical or more realistic, just depending on what you want your design to be. Let me take that white now, and I want to go in. Oh, I'm so excited. I have not gotten these out in a while, and I kind of expected that I would need to pump the tip for these to keep coming out. And they're just super, super juicy still. So what I'm going to do, I want to put just a little bit of a highlight on there, and that's going to just kind of add some dimension to that body. And maybe just like a few more of these little dots. So easy, simple to do. Because I did black on the body, I think I'm going to use this gray for my shadow. This is a pretty light rock, so it kind of just depends on the color of the rock. You can see I have some darker rocks here, and so the white is going to show up more on those. So that's another thing. If you want it to be mostly white, then you might pick a darker rock for that project. But so see, I'm just adding this little gray shadow, and that's going to stand out, and that really looks dimensional. All right, so let me grab, I think I'm going to use some of the rose pink and magenta. And the color of the lid is pretty true to the color that you're going to get. So see how just going in to those areas on the edge, it's just kind of creating a glow there on the end and adding more interest to those little panes. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to do there, but yeah, I love how that turned out. So simple. And then if you wanted to do some writing on another one, let's see, let me put something on a different one. So I've got this little sleeping one here, so I think I'm going to just write, let's see, rest in the Lord. And if you want a finer tip, again, remember you can just switch that out with the tweezers. So just keep that in your set. I also want to point out that I really like how this has compartments in the bottom. You pull these out, so hopefully you can see there's a little hole, and that just keeps them all nice and organized and standing up for when you are working with them and you want to put them all back. So I really am happy with this set. I love the things that I'm creating with them. They've got all sorts of applications, all different kinds of projects that you could make. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to use each one before I would need to replace them, but I have done a ton of rocks with them and they're still very juicy. So it really just depends on how much you use each color. But again, you know, $1 per marker is just a great price. So I hope that you will tag me if you post any of your creations online. If you try these out, I think you'll be really pleased with them, and I think it's just a really fun way to decorate some rocks, to decorate your own yard or someone else's. Or the little butterfly, I gave that away to someone who lost her husband to cancer recently, and I just think it really brightened your day. It's just a nice, small, very personal reminder that you can give to someone. So thanks so much for checking out this video. I wholeheartedly recommend these Arteza paint pens, acrylic markers, so check them out online and check out my other videos. Thanks so much for watching today. God bless. Let me know in the comments which of these you liked best. Thank you.